Friends at Elevated Success. Today we're going to go over the Acord 130, which is a work comp application. You'll always start with the date up at the top right-hand side. Next, you'll go to your agency name and address on the far left. You'll want your producer name, your office phone number, and your email address. You can put on your cell phone or fax if you'd like them to have it. You can also add the customer service representative if you have one, or if you'd like them to be able to contact them. You can add their information in there, just their name. Next, on the right-hand side, you do not need to put company or underwriter, but you will need the applicant name. For this example, I'm using ABC Pizza LLC. You'll want their office phone number. If they have a cell phone, you can put that here. The years in business. You do not need to fill out the SIC or the NAICS. And then if they have a website, it's always good to put it in there, but you do not have to get a quote. And then on the left side, you'll want their mailing address. It does ask to include the additional four zip code on the end. You don't need to do that for the quote. Next, you'll fill out their email address and then the structure of their businesses. For this example, I used LLC. And then their federal employee number. You do not need the NCCI risk number ID. You can put the ID number in there if you want, but really what you need to get a quote is the federal ID number. Next, you'll want the status of the submission, which for this example, we're doing quote, because we're just trying to get a quote. Next, for billing, you would want either direct bill or agency bill. Most work comp is direct. And then how they're paying it, whether that's annual, semi-annual, or quarterly. The audit information doesn't necessarily need to be filled out to get a quote, but you could pick one if you need to or would like to. Next section is locations. So you're going to want to list all the locations that they have. For this example, our insured only has one location, so I put their address here. For policy information, you only need, one more thing on locations. So if someone is working from home, you are going to want to add that location here as well for work comp. For policy information, you'll have the proposed effective date that would be required. Any work comp states under Part 1, any states that they're operating in, along with the employer's liability coverage that they're looking for. If there are any other states that they operate, you'd want to list them here. Next, you would go down to contact information. You don't need to fill out contact information if you're submitting it with an Acord 125, but you would want to fill out who they would need to contact for the inspection, accounting records, claims information. If you only put one contact information here, obviously they're going to use it for the same. So I usually fill it out even if I fill out an Acord 125 just because I like it to be complete. So this section, individuals to be included or excluded, this would be any partners, officers, relatives that is employed by the business operations. They have to either be included or excluded. This one's in this example, 100% owned by John Smith. If it had two owners, you would need to put them both in this section. You'd list the state that they're in, the location they're at, their name, date of birth, their title or relationship, ownership, and their duties. And then here you would do excluded or included. If they're included, you will need to add the class code and the payroll as well for each person listed. Going down under state rating worksheet, here is where you would list all the different types of jobs people have. So for each duty, they would need to have their own separate class code, and you would need to list the payroll. So this one for location 1, under Florida, it's 9070 class code, restaurant not otherwise classified. Depending on your state, you may need to list other occupations, but this one, we just need that listed. And then the number of full-time, part-time employees, and then the payroll. Obviously, if you had other people doing let's say it was an office and you had a clerical person, you would want to list clerical here. They're not going to be rated quite as high as some of the other class codes. Again, I would always call NCCI and get the correct class code before sending it in. You can call them, you can set up an account, but they will give you this information at no charge if you give them a call. We did explain that in the class, but again, you can give them a call to get the correct class code for each occupation or each operation that they're doing, duties. Down here under premium, you really don't need to fill anything out. This is mostly for discounts. If they have an experience mod, you can list that here. And then under any additional information you might want to attach, you could put the remarks here. If there's more information that you want to attach, you would need to attach an Acord 101. Next is prior carrier information and loss history. If they've had losses, you can always attach the loss run here, but you would want to include all information on the past 5 years for loss details. So you would put the year, the company, the policy number, the annual premium, the mod, the number of claims for that carrier, the amount paid, and if obviously it's either amount paid or reserve. If something is still open, it would be under reserve. Otherwise, it's going to be under amount paid. Under nature of business, description of operations, if you have an Acord 125, you don't need to fill it out. I like to fill everything out I can fill out for the underwriter, so they don't have to flip back and forth between pages. But you would put your description of operations here. That does need to be filled out. And last, you go down to the general information, which is all the questions that need to be answered. Most of these won't apply depending on the type of operation, but if they own or lease watercraft or aircraft, this would be need to say yes with an explanation. If they're disposing of any hazardous material. Number 3, work performed underground or above 15 feet. Number 4, any work performed on, vessels, docks, bridges, anything over water. And if they're engaged in any other type of business under number 5. Number 6, if subcontractors are used, you would need to give the percentage of work that is subcontracted. Number 7, if the sub is working without a certificate, you need to say yes and explain why. The payroll must be included in the rating worksheet if that's the case. Written safety operation, if they have that, you would need to advise any group transportation provided. Number 9. Number 10, anyone working under 16 or over 60, you would need to advise of that. Seasonal employees, volunteer or donated labor, anyone with physical handicaps. If employees work out of state, you would want to say yes. And the frequency, this is obviously very important as we learned in the class. If this is the case, you want to make sure that they're going to be covered. You do want this to be known. Are athletic teams sponsored? Question you don't ever really say yes to. 16, are physicals required after offers of employment? If they are, you want to let them know. Any other insurance with this insurer? Usually that's no. Number 18, any prior coverage denied, canceled, non-renewed in the last 3 years. Missouri applicants do not need to answer this question. If this is a yes, you do want to give an explanation of what happened. If there are health plans provided, you would want to click yes. If any employees perform work for any other business or subsidiaries, you'd want that known as well. And then if employees are leased to or from other employers, if anyone works from home, you'd want to click yes and number of employees. any tax liens or bankruptcy in the last 5 years, and any undisputed and unpaid paid work comp premium due. So that would also be need to be collected. You would need to say yes and give an explanation with the entity's name and policy number. And then last is the signature. So you can click X here to say that the copy of the notice of practices has been given and have them initial. It's not applicable in these states listed here: Arizona, California, Delaware, Kansas, Maine, Minnesota, North Dakota, New York, or Virginia or West Virginia. And then they just need to sign. Obviously, for the quote, you don't need to sign, but when you go to bind, you would need the applicant's signature, your signature, the date, and your national producer number. And that's all there is to it. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me at info@elevatedsuccessonline.com. You can also find us at www.elevatedsuccessonline.com to take our training class. Thank you so much for watching.